Hello, welcome to Tony's Bonsai. I bought a really interesting Japanese maple this afternoon and I bet you've never heard of the variety. Before I look at that, I'll just quickly show you this silver birch that I'm going to be working on in this video. Regular viewers will have seen me prune this tree in the summer. I was just looking at it before thinking, what am I going to do with this? And I explored down at the root base and I've had an interesting find. The tree was planted at this sort of level, very stumpy, a kind of twin trunk, and I was thinking, what am I going to do with this? So I've had a bit of a dig down and look at this. I've got a root coming out the front here, bit of a root here, and I've got this wonderful root going right out back, which adds some lovely stability to the base of the tree and a lovely sweep in that direction there. Before I tackle that birch, let's take a look at this acer. Always lift with your legs. I splashed the cash, but I think this is a really good price for this tree. I know what you're asking. Come on, Tony, tell us, what is it? And you may have heard of it before, I haven't. It's called an Acer palmatum, John's favourite. New one to me. There were all the usual suspects in there. There were the sort of Blood Goods, Benny Michaels, all that kind of stuff. And they ranged in price from sort of £70–80 up to sort of £300–400. And in the middle of them was this one. Only one of them, as I say, a John's favourite. 50 quid. I couldn't turn that down. I can't really find any information online as to this species and what it is. There's just one picture that shows it's got some kind of red-orange leaf. Judging off the internode length, I don't think it's a particularly refined small variety, but you know, anything can be turned into bonsai, and the basic structure I think is so good. I've already got, I mean, it's as if it's been already sort of designed for bonsai, I think. I suspect this will be the front, somewhere around here. It is grafted at the bottom, but the graft is beautiful. I've had a dig down in the base and it seems like it's got a really nice nabari as well, you know. Excellent. What I am going to do in the spring is air layer off all of these branches, because my plan is to have, is to cut these branches something like here, I think. So I'll air layer all of these thick branches off. That'll be an interesting video and I'll get a load of new trees. Before I start working on this birch, if you've got any knowledge about John's favourite acers, I'd love to hear in the comments. I'd really appreciate that. Now let's get on with this, see what I can do. I would say there are only two options for this tree in terms of the front. It either has to be this side or this side. Neither of them have really got any major scars, so I can choose either. From here, we've got the sweep, and then this kind of comes towards us in a bit of a curve. So you get a bit of that sort of pigeon breast kind of effect, which I'm not that keen on. Therefore, I think this is naturally more interesting with it going away and then coming back towards us. And the roots are a bit better from this side also. So we've got an easy choice on the front. I've got a piece of wood here so that I can change the angle of the tree. But before I do that, I think I need to make a decision on what style I'm actually going to grow this tree in. With such nice sweeping movement coming up and through the tree, I find this to be a bit straight. So I could possibly bend this branch, add some movement into these. And what I'm thinking is a windswept style. I know I've already got a silver birch in a windswept style, but the idea of that one was very much a normal tree being blown by a strong wind. I want this one to be more of a tree that's been affected over the years by the elements that have forced it into an interesting shape. Which way I go with it, I don't know. Although this moves in this direction, you know, that would naturally say it's being blown that way. So everything could be moved across as if it is being blown that way. But occasionally you do get trees like this that move across like that. They've grown one way and then they're being affected by the wind once they get to a certain level. So I could do either. Whatever I do, I'm not keen on the fact that this is almost horizontal at this stage, and I think by changing the angle to something like that and bringing this off the horizontal that then sweeps up, I think I prefer it, and if anything that'll improve the angle of the root base as well, so I'm happy with that. I'm not exactly sure why, but as soon as I change that angle, it makes me want the tree to flow in this direction, definitely. I really like the sweep of this branch, and it would seem very artificial to bend this round to get these going, because these would almost come away and then back, and that's not what I want. So I am now thinking everything should move windswept in that direction. So I'm going to get some vet tape and some wire on. That's the tree covered in vet tape and wire. I timed myself and it took me 1 hour and 20 minutes, so not bad. Nice thing to do on a Friday night, very relaxing and just took me time. I've wired every single branch, so I'm ready now to do my favourite part, style it. We've got all these 3 main branches with fairly thick wire on them, and I don't think I'm going to do really any bending at the base of this one. It's quite thick and I don't think there's any point because it's already sweeping across. This is going to be the hardest one to try and get into some sort of space. And to create space for this one, now if I could bend this just across a bit, lower down, that would be handy. So I will have a go, just to see if I can get that across. And I have done. That works well. That now means that there's space up here for that, and these are a bit in the way. So I think to get this fully in place, I could do with moving this first. Now I don't really need to do much with that, really. It's got a natural curve here. I mean, it would be ideal if I could straighten it up at the bottom, like that. Oh, that's good. There. So that's brought this more up, and now that it's up, I can hopefully pivot it around my finger and then bend it down. So that's got a bit more a bend there, and then I'll take it up there. So that's exaggerated the bend that was already there. So I like that. It's got a good flow to it, that I think. And if there we go, that's what I wanted there. So I've got that sweep just to create some space up here. I think I'll try and bend that out of the way. So that's the sort of direction that this is going to be going in. So I can tweak that later, but just for now, that's just created this area of space there. And now perhaps I can take this just a little further down into that gap. Just like that, that's it. Yeah, I like that. That's coming across nicely. I'm conscious that I don't want to keep everything on one line as well, and this branch has already got some movement coming away from the camera, so I now want to take it towards you. So it's this branch here, it's got this natural curve there, so I'm going to try and exaggerate that by just taking it round in that direction. This is the branch that I just moved towards the camera, and if you can look from this view, you can see a lot of the branches are coming up and down off it, and I would rather those just be twisted a little bit. So I added the coil this way to allow me to twist it in that direction. So hopefully I can just get a bit of twist in that, and it'll pull this bottom branch here more onto the side, which is the main point that I want. So if I can just try to put a little twist into that, and also a bit of a bend down as I'm doing it, like that there. So that's brought this more towards the camera, which is great. I'm just going to go for a tiny bit more twist. There, that's good. Really like that. That's worked really well. You might not see it on camera so much, but it's kind of really brought this out towards, and it gives me a chance to get this one sort of away and into that gap there. So that's nice. I'm happy with how that's going, and I can now kind of move these around. What about the top? I think the top wants bending down a little bit more, just to add that extra bit of drama. Like that. Not a lot. This obviously can then come up. It's just to get that sweep, and then I can replicate that lower down. That works. Although I have got that movement, it looks, for some reason, it looks better from the back than it does from the front. So from this view, that still goes up in a plane, and I'd like to bring it more down, which I should be able to. Just like that. There. How's that look? Yeah. Yeah, that's just sort of brought that in a more... Yeah. Yeah, and for some reason it looks much more dramatic from this side, but I'll move on to this back branch in a moment. But I've got a branch at the back here that's kind of hidden, and I need to decide if this goes up into this space or down, and I think it's better coming down. I've moved the camera so you're dead level with the tree. Now, we do have a branch here, which is nice. This one can be a fairly low branch like that. So I'll get that out of the way. I think this can drop also, and that will leave space for this one at the back to come into. So I'm going to move the one at the back first. So I do need to move this downwards, otherwise it'll never be seen. And if I put it in this gap here, depends what I can do with these here. I think I'll work on these first before I make that decision. So this is not too complicated, this one. And these are not really too thick, these. So they're fairly easy to move compared to those other ones. There. So I'm hoping to achieve that the same flow, the same movement. There. That's good. Now I can make a decision on that back branch. I need to look from behind the camera really. Yeah, there is kind of space for it there. But if I do bring it lower, this one will have to come down like that, which works. And then I can try and get this one in as well, there. Bring that round. Like that. And I get that down now into that space. You can't really see it fully, so it needs to come a little further. There. That's nice. That's created sort of a decent bit of separation between those. That works well. There, just like that. This branch is blocking that view, so I can bring that up and across like that to give me that view underneath, which works well. When I dropped this branch down, it gave this just a little bit more space to move into there. Yeah, bit by bit, I'm just creating that flow. I feel like most of the main structure now is kind of done, and then I can start working on these finer branches. There's not really much for me to say while I'm moving these smaller branches. I'm just kind of moving them all in that direction, so I will stop motion it just for a bit of fun. Well, that was a bit of fun. I can't fit this on a turntable because it's not big enough, so I'll just give you a view now of it from the end on to show you the three-dimensionality. This is a view from behind, and it does look quite good from here. I like the way this curves. We've got stuff happening right throughout the composition, so it's definitely not on one plane, which I wanted to avoid. Obviously, I'll be doing updates on this in the spring with all my other projects and trees. As always, thanks for joining me. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.